Welcome back, everybody, to a new episode of The Next Generation. Very grateful and fortunate to have Kendra Eidam here, who is the CEO of NILEmpowHER. She's been empowering athletes and influencers all over the nation to really navigate effectively in the ever-evolving NIL landscape. So, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Tell our audience a little bit about how you kind of got started in your career, specifically within NIL and in the sports industry.
Gosh, I have kind of a complicated story, but so after school, I really just needed to get a job. So I actually opened 3 medical spas in Idaho, and I was totally in a different industry, in the beauty industry. And something that I found that I was missing in my life, especially as an athlete, was still that contact with sports. It was something that is so deeply ingrained in who I am as a person that I just don't think I was feeling fulfilled in a different industry. So I ended up just reaching out for different internships, and I ended up joining the team for No Off Season Sports. They were amazing. I was working for them as a social media coordinator and just got back into sports, making graphics. We visited games and went out and did so many things for so many different athletes, including NIL deals with like Dunkin' Donuts and Topps trading cards and you name it. But yeah, so that's how I got back into it. And now I kind of juggle 2 different things. I do NILempowHER, which is my direct consulting with athletes, and I kind of mesh that into my current position with Influxer. I'm the merchandising coordinator for Influxer, but truthfully, I do a lot of their media as well, which has been such a great experience.
That's incredible. And congratulations on all your accomplishments so far and the ones to come. And so kind of talking more about NILempowHER, tell us a little bit about, what you do with your consulting, how do you really provide that value that helps those student athletes that you work with and what that relationship kind of looks like?
Truthfully, because NIL, I know everyone talks about how new it is still, but truthfully, it really is a brand new industry. So helping athletes with just the basic education, something that I've noticed is really missing from the industry is that there's not a lot of free or tangible education available readily to these athletes. A lot of the time, we're seeing a lot of saturation with individual agents. And
Yep.
while that's really, really helpful to athletes, I think that there is a huge need for educators and just letting these athletes know what they should expect in the industry and what this is all going to look like. So I provide that background education for athletes, and I have athletes message me all day from all different schools, and I get to help them from anything from, hey, what does this look like for me as an international athlete? What are the laws with this? All the way to how do I create a video and edit it, or how do I get a brand deal?
Yep, absolutely. And I love that. I think we'll kind of backtrack a little bit, to give our audience more context. But when you saw everything with NIL get legitimized, I know you said you were a former athlete, when that happened this summer of 2021, what was your initial thoughts, Kendra, when you saw that all kind of take shape?
Oh, I was so thrilled for them, a little bit jealous, obviously,
Right.
but so thrilled that this opens so many doors for athletes to also build life skills that it makes you employable in the long run. Like this not only benefits athletes during their college career, but it builds who they are for their professional career later on.
Absolutely. No, it's spot on. And I think even when you were talking about education, that's a huge piece of what we do over at Burst, right? Because we care about how can we help student athletes set up a strong foundation that's going to help them benefit long after the athletic career. As everyone knows, being an athlete, whether you're an athlete or not, you're going to have your last day, right? And so how do you make that transition smooth in the sense that it's allowing you to build on that foundation and structure so you can really reap the rewards long term? And so kind of going more off that, and we were talking about just NIL getting legitimized, now seeing where things are and more unfolding now as we get into year 3 here. Where do you see this space going? How do you continue to innovate, especially being in the beginning of this year, now already in March? How do you continue to really innovate in the space right now?
Truthfully, I think we're going to see a lot of change in coming years with new laws coming to a head and different regulations changing. So I think it's going to be very important to continue to provide value to the athletes first and the athletes directly. Because there's always going to be a need for athletes to either become educated or learn how to create content. I think a lot of people think that NIL is a completely new concept, which it really isn't. We see a lot of similarities between like affiliate marketing and NIL. So this
Yeah,
is something that is going to continue to grow, and just facilitating each step, especially when it comes to content creation and education. That's going to be the future.
I agree. And it's a great perspective. And it's so huge because education, it's, this is something that excites student athletes to understand and be able to, see what are the opportunities, how can I navigate this, how can I build my personal brand. I mean, when we talk to our athletes, right, they're doing so many different things and helping them navigate that and seeing that there are so many startups and brands and companies and just different executives and CEOs that they can connect with and be able to do exciting things really makes this, very sustainable and long term. And I know you mentioned to me last week that you speak at schools and universities and you go and talk about, a lot of the education and stuff around that with the student athletes. Talk to us a little bit, like, what is that atmosphere like? How responsive are the athletes and kind of, seeing all your learnings and teachings that you show them? What does that kind of look like?
Yeah, Influxer provides like what's really cool is Influxer provides free education to any different school that wants us to come out and teach them. And truthfully, that really changes per school because every school's needs are so different. We have some schools that are really, really heavy in certain areas like international student athletes or, content creation. And depending on what the school needs, we'll head out there, our team gets out there, and we are hands-on workshops. We've done, I mean, classes with up to 600 student athletes and every single student athlete that the school has, all the way down to like specified workshops for different topics, which is absolutely amazing. And obviously, yeah, those hands-on workshops are so needed at every
Incredible.
school.
Right.
Yeah, so it's been a great experience. I've gone to a few different schools in Florida, and I know we have so many goals in the future to visit all of them. But yeah, it's been great.
That's incredible. No, we would love to, talk further, especially with what we're doing at Burst, to see how we can continue to enhance the education and be able to provide that to all athletes, right? Targeting all student athletes, helping them at the Division I level, even down to the JUCO level, and then high school where applicable. Now, it's a very exciting landscape that is continuously growing as there's always daily updates in what's happening in the space. And what's been one memorable moment that you could share with us, in that workshop that you've hosted, before with those athletes?
Oh, I had an absolutely amazing experience at University of South Florida. I think something that really stands out to me that came from that experience was just how helpful the staff was and how it kind of helped me realize that not only are there athletes trying to learn about this process and what goes into this, but the schools as well. A lot of the staff doesn't fully understand yet and are trying to get to the point where they understand NIL fully. And
Yeah.
so I had some really, really great moments with South Florida where they were just the entire staff and the athletes were so happy to learn. They were asking questions. They showed us around the entire campus, and it was just such a cool opportunity. They've got such great programs out there, and they just
Yeah.
won, what was it, their first basketball conference championship. So
Yes, they
exciting.
did. It's incredible. And I think just seeing that, right, and realizing that, there's so many more different factors and variables that are involved, right? Now you see that there's a lot of resources on campuses, there's more education being provided in different ways, as you were talking about with Influxer, and just seeing that there's a lot of people that are really trying to take the time to focus in on how can we provide this value to student athletes that's going to really resonate with them. And I think doing all those different types of workshops and really just all those activations that you're talking about, it helps student athletes not just sit there and go through a course, but to really take a course and maybe being more involved in like, okay, let's turn this into an activity or just different stuff that can really resonate with them more effectively. And I think that's, as you're saying, is something that really is very unique right now. It's happening, and it's something that's going to be around for a long time as we continue to advance with everything. So going more on NIL Empower, can you tell us a little bit more about what the overall mission and goals are for that?
Gosh, I have such big goals with NILEmpowHER. So my deep passion in life is helping women, empowering women. I'm a huge feminist, and it's no surprise. So truthfully, what I want to capitalize on is, especially last season and this season for sports, women's sports is growing at such a rapid rate that media is struggling to keep up. And what we're seeing is the viewership and the participation of women's sports is increasing, and we're seeing more NIL activity with that. And so I want to get women, especially, the resources to become successful in NIL, because I feel that there is a lack in society's understanding that women's sports are just as important as men's sports. People are getting involved, and huge people, even like Mark Cuban, saying if you're investing in something right now, it's women's sports. It needs to
Yep.
be women's sports. So that's a huge need that we're going to see in the near future, as well as it's my personal opinion that women are a better match for NIL because they're less of a brand risk and they understand content creation more universally, more often. Like, we're seeing brands like Nike more likely to partner with women now than male athletes. And I just think that we need to make sure that the education and the resources match the need for that.
I love that. Absolutely. And NIL has played into a huge part of helping women's sports in all angles, right? Even just you talk about Nike, like, Caitlin Clark and Nike's ad that just came out, just all different types of things that we are starting to see at a bigger level. And that's going to trickle down to even the smaller scale, like Division 2, 3, JUCO, like I was talking about. But being able to, like you're saying, to your point, how can we provide those resources that's not just helping male athletes, but helping female athletes as well? And really, creating more opportunities for student athletes. So I love that mission, and any that we can support over at Burst, and all the female athletes listening to our audience, please reach out to Kendra, as she's here to help in every way possible. So kind of wrapping up here, and a couple more questions that we'd like to discuss now, Kendra. What's your overall vision, for your career? As you've accomplished so much already, what's that kind of look like in the next several years?
Oh my gosh. Well, right now I am delving into Influxer. This is a company that is athletes first and providing that complimentary education, as well as, hey, let's connect you with a merch line. Let's get you in the marketplace, getting you more deals. So developing that is going to be my main priority. I absolutely love my team over there, and they're giving me so many opportunities to connect with other athletes, especially female athletes. So honestly, I want to be the go-to content coach. I want to be the go-to NIL information. I have so many big plans too, and I'm super excited for the near future. We have so much stuff coming out. So
That's incredible. Well, all the student athletes that are listening to this episode, please reach out to Kendra Eidam on Instagram or other social handles that we'll list below. And now that we always do this in every episode, what would be 3 pieces of advice that you would give to the next generation that looks up to you as a role model, Kendra?
my first one would have to be that you set your own expectations and you set your own limits. Never tell yourself that you don't want to try something new because of the fear of, oh, well, I'm not qualified for this, or I would never be able to do that. Shoot for the stars. Even if you miss, you're going to land among them, which is, I believe in heavily in manifestation. So just believing in yourself, building personal and professional connections early on is should be a number one priority for athletes. Even if it's just reaching out to your school compliance officer, making sure that you connect with other coaches on LinkedIn, reaching out to agents just to have discussions. Even if you don't think that this is something that you need, they can connect you with so many different people and you can learn so many different things. Just making sure, kind of the third thing is making sure that your room is absolutely jam packed with people that are smarter than you, people in different industries. I'm a firm believer in being a jack of all trades. So learning a new skill or meeting a new person that can connect you with someone is going to provide so much value, especially as athletes are entering their professional careers. Just making sure that you're keeping your mind open. Anything can happen, and anyone can connect you or teach you a new skill. So just staying open minded and building on that is incredible.
I love it. And then just to recap that, Kendra, you said, number one, that you set your own, limits and expectations. So don't let fear get in the way of that. And they're kind of going off that. And the second thing you said, really building your connections, growing your network. I think for all student athletes that are listening right now, it is so essential now more than ever before because of the accessibility that we have in this whole digital era, right? With technology, you have LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, all the social platforms, and even going to conferences and meeting people that are maybe coming to your university or on college campus, right? Taking advantage of all the resources that are there to grow your network because it might not help right now, but it could help in a few years from now, right? And then the last thing, just surrounding yourself with people that are smarter than you, have more wisdom, and can really be able to help you in everything that you're looking to achieve with your personal and business goals and everything with your career. So I appreciate all that knowledge. I hope everybody in the audience took note of that. Thank you again, Kendra Eidam, CEO of NILEmpowHER, also doing great things at Influxer. Thank you so much for being on our show today.
Thank you.